All right, so before you head to the fair, we've got last minute reminders. First, there will be lots of security on the grounds. The State Fair Police Chief says there are 185 officers throughout the fairgrounds, and that doesn't include additional agencies on site. They also added more vehicle barriers and security cameras, and they improved some of the fencing, making it harder to jump over. Another big part of the fair, parking. Here's a breakdown. There are around 5,000 on-site parking spaces. A spot will cost you around $20, but we know those spots fill up fast. So to plan ahead, there are spots along Larpenteur Avenue. You can already see the traffic volume picking up there. Over there, there's the Buffalo and Camelot. On Dan Elmer Way, we have that Owl Lot, and then we have the Robin Lot along Randall Avenue here, and then along Como Ave, of course, there's the West and East Como Lot. There's also some motorcycle parking along Como Avenue for $15. If you weren't jotting those down, we have that list on our website. And of course, many people open their driveways and yards as parking places around St. Paul for a fee, but we're already getting word that a lot of those lots are full except 3 park and rides, but there's always an ebb and flow. So if you're headed out there later, try to get down there a little early. All right, hey, once you get inside, you can meet the 71st Princess K of the Milky Way. She was crowned just last night. Take a look. Hey, look at that. It was an exciting moment for Rachel Visser of McLeod County. Rachel is going into her sophomore year at the U of M, double majoring in agricultural food and business management and agricultural communications and marketing. Congrats to her. Hey, turning to another top story this afternoon. It's the last night of the Democratic National Convention. It wraps up with a keynote speech from Vice President Kamala Harris. Audrey Russo has a preview.
We now know what Vice President Kamala Harris will focus on in her nomination acceptance speech tonight. She'll take the stage during the main programming, which begins at 5:30. She'll focus on patriotism and share a little bit of her personal story, using it as a contrast against her opponent. And that's exactly what Governor Walz did last night. Walz, in arguably the biggest moment of his political career, using his background as essentially a tool belt, fulfilling that VP attack dog role. He used his rural roots and his National Guard experience to springboard into remarks about responsible gun ownership. The governor also pushed back on the notion that Republicans alone are the party of rural family values. And for someone who was relatively low profile in the party just weeks ago, the crowd became enthusiastic when Walz tapped into his coaching background to drive the speech home.
It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field. And boy, do we have the right team. Kamala Harris is tough. Kamala Harris is experienced, and Kamala Harris is ready.
Political analysts are zeroing in on Walz's approach to masculinity in supporting a woman at the top of the ticket. He focused a lot on his family and on his role as a supporter of a woman's right to choose. This is one of the moments that almost everybody was talking about. It came when Walz talked about the fertility treatments he and his wife used to start their own family.
Gus and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family because this is a big part about what this election is about. Freedom.
Yeah, you can see that emotional moment where Governor Walz's son, Gus, who is neurodivergent, reacted to what his dad was saying on stage. Now, another big moment was caught on camera, and it happened right after the convention ended. John Croman explains from inside the United Center.
Long after most people had left the United Center, the Minnesota delegation was still here, having kind of a mini pep rally, cheering Walz, 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 and keeping the energy going for those few cameras that were still down there trying to capture some of the euphoria over the governor becoming the vice presidential candidate.
Harris Walz! Harris Walz! Harris Walz!
Today, on the fourth and final day of the DNC, we'll hear from Vice President Kamala Harris herself as she gives her acceptance speech and makes the case for why she should be the next occupant of the White House. In Chicago, John Croman, KARE 11 News.
Well, Senator J.D. Vance is responding to his counterpart's speech at the DNC.
I just wish, I would love for Tim Walz or Kamala Harris or anybody else to say that during the 3.5 years that Kamala Harris was vice president, here is the thing that she did to make groceries more affordable. Here is the thing that she did to make it possible to raise a family in this country. Or here's the thing that she did to secure rather than open up the border. Because they can't talk about Kamala Harris's record.
Today, Vance will be in Georgia, while former President Donald Trump stops in Arizona to talk about the border. In the last 24 hours, the pair spoke to a crowd in North Carolina. Trump spoke behind bulletproof glass, as this was his first outdoor rally since last month's assassination attempt. Which is 75 days until the election. Stick with KARE 11 for your Decision 2024 coverage. Chief political reporter John Croman will have more coverage in Chicago starting tonight at 5. And in just a few minutes, we're going through Minnesota's history on the presidential ballot, so stick around for that. A little closer to home, a man is now spending the rest of his life in prison after he was convicted of killing a police officer in Iowa. Kyle Rickey shot and killed Officer Kevin Cram while he was serving an arrest warrant last September. Rickey was found later in southern Minnesota. A jury found him guilty last month, and yesterday, fellow law enforcement officers packed the courtroom for the sentencing. Family members gave impact statements, including a letter from Cram's 7-year-old son.
I think the person who did this should go to prison, because that's a big cause for me to have multiple funerals and people sad all the time. And this guy is the one who made all of this happen in my life. I feel sad about my dad dying. I love him very much.
Cram was just 33 years old and was a police officer for 10 years. Adam Fravel's trial is moving out of Winona County to Blue Earth County, 2 hours away. He's the man accused of killing Madeline Kingsbury, the mother of his children. Kingsbury vanished in March 2023, and her remains were found just over a month later. The judge ruled Fravel likely couldn't get a fair trial in Winona County after looking at results of a public opinion survey. His trial is set to start in October. An investigation is underway right now after agencies spotted 2 different sheens resembling oil on the Mississippi River in the metro area. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency says crews are working to keep the sheens away from drinking water intakes. Minneapolis says its water treatment operations shut down temporarily, but everything is back open as testing continues. Across the border, the Canadian National Railway and Canadian Pacific Kansas City shut down their rail networks. They also locked out nearly 10,000 workers after unsuccessful negotiations with a major labor union. This sets the stage for an unprecedented rail stoppage that could have a significant effect on cross-border trade with the U.S. Both the Teamsters Union and the companies are accusing the other of bad faith. The union wants improved provisions for fatigue, rest, and scheduling, stressing the need for worker safety. In less than 3 hours, we'll get to see the results of a major revitalization project on St. Paul's East Side. A historic building is now a state-of-the-art boxing facility. This is Sir Boxing Club, created by former boxer Sir Ceriso Fort and Georgia Fort. Both say the club is about fostering talent and giving back to the community. In addition to running Sir Boxing Club, the Forts also have a nonprofit, Fight for Your Dreams, and this is just the beginning. This club is expected to be a cornerstone of Arcade Street's revitalization. Minnesota has a history of sending folks to the White House, specifically as second in command. Ahead at noon, a look back at the vice presidents from the bold north. And before we go back out to the fair, Ben will have our forecast.
Well, forecast models, they said it wasn't going to rain, but we're now casting now, and it looks like rain showers are going to move into the Twin Cities metro this afternoon. We'll highlight the best time for rain and let you know when dry weather returns after the break.